Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm coming at you pretty much barefaced today. I do have like mascara and eyebrow gel in, or like a tinted brow gel, but I just got off work. I am traveling for work, so I just don't have time to get ready and film, and I really want to not miss my Pan Those Eyeshadows for the month of May / my June update because I missed last month's. So that's why you're getting this today. I do apologize, and my hair is just like all over the place. But today I'm going to be updating you on my Pan Those Eyeshadows series. This was a series created by Alexi here on YouTube. I will have her channel linked down below. This series has blown up over the years. So many people do this. You can search the hashtag Pan Those Eyeshadows and you will have so much content to binge watch if you like to watch other people pan eyeshadow, which I know I personally do. So that being said, if you guys are interested in seeing my update on my Pan Those Eyeshadows, I do have 3 pans to share with you. Stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project panning content or just chit-chatting about makeup, I would love if you'd consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. Like I said in the introduction, this project was created by Alexi, who will be linked down below. Everybody kind of does their projects differently. So I am currently working on 6 different eyeshadow shades. 5 of them are randomly generated, and then my 6th shade is randomly generated from a palette that I choose. And I'm choosing, so the palettes that I'm choosing for this palette specifically comes from a series I do on my channel called Palettes on Their Last Hurrah, which is kind of like a chopping block-esque sort of series. So here is the current color story that I am working on, and I will jump into my pans first. I do have 4 pans that I've hit since my last update. Again, it's been 2 months since my last update, so it feels like it's been a long time since I have updated you guys on everything, but let's get into my new pans. I will say I don't feel like my eyeshadow panning, I don't feel like this product is going very well. Part of that is because I feel like I don't spend as much time on my eyeshadow anymore. Sometimes I just do like a one shadow and done. I don't wear makeup quite as frequently as I used to. And so all of these things, and I can't stop buying eyeshadow palettes either. And like, so I'm constantly just like trying new eyeshadow palettes as well. So all these things bundled together means my progress, I just feel like, isn't that great. But I do have 4 total eyeshadow pans to share with you. I always like to share bonus pans. So we'll start with this bonus pan. This is something, this palette got rolled into my project at the beginning of this year, and I actually rolled in this shade down here. And I chose this is my first, so I allow myself 3 vetoes throughout the year, and I chose to veto this shade, but I've continued and had continued to work on this shade right here. And after a grand total of 42 uses, I do finally obviously have a pan on this shade, so I was very excited about that. I reached for that in 8 additional times from the previous update before I was able to finally hit pan. My next pan came from my Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions palette, which it's been so long since I've updated this project, I'm like forgetting like when I rolled what in, but I believe I rolled this palette in last update, and I rolled in this shade right here. I did already have a pan in this shade right here, but I was very excited to hit pan on this shade. It actually only took me 6 uses to hit pan on this. I already had a pretty good dip going in that shade, and the Huda Beauty pans are rather shallow. This is definitely a palette that I want to continue to reach for this summer. This is like one of my favorite like vacation / summer palettes, so I'm sure this will continue to get some use, but I'm very happy to have another pan in that one. The next pan, I don't know why I'm sharing all my pans first, but we'll just keep rolling with it. The next pan comes from my Kat Von D Holographic palette, the Alchemist palette. I rolled this in last update as well. I already had a pan in this shade right here, and as you can tell, I have pretty good dips going on every single shade, but I rolled in the shade Ultraviolet, and I do now have a pan on Ultraviolet. It took me 18 additional uses to hit pan on Ultraviolet, and I already had a good dip going in this. I will say these are deep shades. I love these for the inner corner. That's what I use this palette for, is inner corner highlighting. I would love to have a pan on all of the shades by the end of the year. I feel like I'm like 1 or 2 uses away from a pan on the green shade, and then I still have a ways to go on Pink Opal, but I've really been enjoying Pink Opal on the inner corner with like a neutral look. I just love the way that that's been looking. So again, very hopeful I will have 4 pans in this palette by the end of the year, but I did hit a new pan in this one. And then my 4th and final pan comes from another palette that I rolled in last update, but I did not hit pan on the shade that I rolled in. So from my Nebula Cutie palette, I do have a new pan on this shade right here in Dark Room. I hope that you can see over here in the like close to the side, I have like the tiniest baby pan. I was using this as an eyebrow shade, like a brow powder. I have not really been using a brow powder anymore. I feel like I like a more natural brow, so I've just been going in with like a tinted brow gel and really loving the way that that looks. The shade that I'm supposed to be working on in this project is the shade right here, which is 35mm. So I will continue to reach into this palette, and I'm going to keep this shade in, and in fact I will swatch this shade since it's going to be part of the color story that we are working on. So this is the shade 35mm. I feel like I could get a ton of use out of this, especially this time of year. I just didn't really reach for this one that often. I did only have to reach for this six times to hit pan on this shade. What was it? Dark Room. So I'm excited to have a new pan in my collection, but I'll continue to work on this shade from this palette. All right, and then getting into the other three shades that I was working on. So from my Alter Ego Canyon palette, this palette has been in since the beginning, and I'm a little bit disappointed in my use. I have been working on this shade right here, which is in the shade Desert Sun, and I reached for Desert Sun an additional, only 4 times. I believe I am at then 14 total uses for this project. This has been in, so I also have rules in this project. If a palette has been in for 3 months or longer, or if I've used it 15 times or more, I can rule it out. I do already have a pan in this palette right here in the shade Expanse, so I know that the pans are relatively shallow, and I feel like I'm very close to pan in this, and I also feel like this is a very summertime palette, so I need to just buckle down and actually commit to this shade and have a pan in this come the next update, because I honestly would love to roll this palette out because I've had it in since the introduction. That is that shade right there. But I do want to hit pan since I've committed to this, and I feel like pan is close. From my Lawless, the Glam 1 eyeshadow palette, I am working on this shade right here, which is a really beautiful, like dusty mauve pink. I reached for this 3 times since the last update. The last update I had only reached for it 1 time, so I'm only at 4 total uses. Although mauves are in right now, I feel like I haven't been creating a ton of like mauve-y looks, and I feel like it's more like pinky rosy tones rather than like a true like purple mauve, which this is a true purple mauve. So it's a really beautiful shade. I just have not felt inclined to reach for this, but I do really love this palette in general, and I do want to continue to work on this shade. I really would love to hit pan on it. I can also get some use out of, honestly, just the rest of the palette. It's a really nice palette. So I'm gonna buckle down. I feel like I probably won't have a pan on this specific shade or this palette next update, so this will probably still be in for at least 1 or 2 more months, but I need to reach for this more, is basically what I'm getting at. And then finally, the last palette that I have is this one. This is the Tarte Love, Trust, and Fairy Dust palette, and this is from my palettes on their last hurrah. I'm looking at this now and just realizing, no, maybe not. I was gonna say, I think one of my shades has, I think it's just dust in it. And why did I just swatch that? Dang it. It's not the shade I'm working on. Okay, well, that was really dumb. I'm working on this shade right here, which is in the shade Magic. I do already have a couple of, I'm just gonna swatch right over that. I don't honestly care. It's fine. I do already have a couple of pans in this palette, and I feel like, do I feel like this palette is expired? This shade Mystical might actually be expired. Was it Mystical that I was working on? No, Magic. I've only reached for this 1 time. And I'm gonna roll this out because this is my palettes on their last hurrah. So I don't know why I swatched that anyway. I'm like all over the board, can you tell? Anyway, this again, it's just not the types of tones I'm reaching for right now, but I do wanna continue to work on this. I feel like I'm trying to decide in my head if I want to declutter this, but I don't think I do. This so this shade has cracked right here, and I'm trying to decide if it looks like there's like white bumps on this shade or if it's just from that shade Mystical. I feel like it truly is just from the shade Mystical, but I'm not sure. I feel like maybe I should just honestly declutter this palette at this point in time. I really probably should. You might say this in an upcoming palette declutter. Okay, so I've re-swatched the shades that we are still working on. I have hit 10 pans so far this year. We're 1 month away. Oh, we're at 1 month away from obviously the middle of the year, and I definitely feel like I could hit another pan before like June ends, meaning I will be halfway through the year to 22 eyeshadow pans in 2022. I might still actually hit that goal. Oh, fingers crossed. we're gonna definitely do this. I just need to like actually like refocus my attention. But I'm very excited about that. I will be honest, I don't think my eyeshadow pan spreadsheet is like the most accurate or up to date right now, but we're gonna roll with what we have. I at least have eyeshadow pans itemized in a spreadsheet for us to randomly generate. So currently there are 1,766 different options to select from. I am going to be choosing my Friendcation palette to randomly generate my third shade from, but we're going to randomly generate 2 shades to add to our new quintet of colors. So we get number 938 and 559. So 938 is going to come from, let's see, 938 Rock Hopper Kaleidos. Ooh, the Kaleidos Club Nebula palette, which I was literally just thinking the other day I want to pull out and use again, so I'm super excited about that. And it's in the shade Rock Hopper. I have literally no idea. Oh, I hope it's not like a matte blue. I hope it's like a shimmery green, but Rock Hopper. Okay, yeah, I have no idea what shade that would be, but I'm very excited to see. And then number 559 is going to be from Rage Quit. Oh my gosh. Ooh. My Sugar Pill Bite Size palette in the shade Rage Quit. Do we think that's the red, or do we think that is like the orange? I'm not sure. Okay, I'm gonna go grab those 2 palettes as well as my Joseph Colors Friendcation palette so we can generate the third shade that we'll be working on, and I will be right back. Okay, I am back, and I truly have no idea what these shades are from these 2 palettes, and I thought it'd be fun to look together. But let's start with my Joseph Colors Friendcation palette. This is one of the palettes going in my palettes on their last hurrah. This shade did break, and then I like repressed it in, but there are 10 shades to choose from. I'm gonna randomly generate a shade, and with this shade it's just a shade that I would focus on and work on for a month, and then I choose a new palette next month to focus on. But we are going to randomly generate a number between 1 and 10, and we get number 9. Okay, so number 9 is going to be this shade right here. I feel like this is a really good shade for this time of year, as I'm like loving neutral brown shades like this, and I feel like this is going to fit in well with my color story. There it is swatched right there. I do love the Joseph Colors Friendcation palette, which is why I wanted to work on it. I feel like I've neglected this, but I always enjoy reaching for this, so I'm very excited to work on this shade. There's not, like, there's a little bit of a disturbance there, but there's not nearly like the dip that there is in these 2 shades, so I'm excited to get some more use out of that shade and that palette. Okay, moving on to my Sugar Pill Bite Size palette. We are going to be focusing on the shade Rage Quit. I'm going to be annoyed if it's the red. Okay. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to make this work. It's fine. It's the pink shade, which actually is probably one of my more used shades. I would have been happier if it was like one of these 3 shades, but it's better than, well, actually, to be honest with you, I probably would have enjoyed working on Game Over this time of year, or even High Score the orange. What a fun shade. Anyway, the shade that we're working on is this bright pink shade in the shade Rage Quit. I feel like this could end up being this. Okay, actually, like, my color story all swatched together, I'm kind of like obsessed with, like, this on the lower lash line, and then use these 4 to create a look. Maybe I can make this work. Do I think I'm gonna end up hitting pan on the shade Rage Quit? To be honest with you, I really do not, but you know, it could be a 15. Maybe I'll try and actually use this 15 uses and not waste a veto on this, but that is that shade. And then Rock Hopper is the shade that we are looking for in the Club Nebula palette. Okay, I would have been happier with something else, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm just happy to have this palette like front and center to work on this more. So here's the shade Rock Hopper, and it is like a slate purpley blue shade. It's a beautiful shade. It's just not a shade that like I feel like I see myself reaching for all that much, and it's super pigmented. I have no idea how deep the Kaleidos pans are because I've never hit pan on one, but this is my color story. It's a very interesting color story. I feel like I actually could end up using this potentially as a liner, like on the lower lash line, potentially even with like a cool tone look and make that work. So I'll be interested to see what I end up doing with this color story. But I am very excited. I'm feeling just rejuvenated and refreshed, and was super excited and anxious to just get this video filmed and uploaded for you guys. So let me know if you've recently hit pan on any eyeshadows. I love hearing from you guys in the comments. Other than that, thank you so much for sticking around to watch and for supporting me. I appreciate it so much. I love you guys, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.